of the new LOA in order to carry on 6 from Thailand, 2 from Papua New Guinea, and our colleagues from FAO RAP, Mr. Robert Lee.
Now, the first recommendation involved the project formulation. The midterm evaluation came to the decision, came to the opinion that this project is not very well designed. One of the reasons it's difficult to implement is it's not a very well designed project. So this is a recommendation to FAO Fisheries Department on future project formulation. It does not concern us. But one of the biggest problems we've had was that the funding of my position, the project regional coordinator position, was initially dependent that your country is very well appreciated by the MTU. So from this team, I'm going under some quite difficult circumstances, especially they feel the project fully justifies, given the complexity and the importance of this project. It really
each of those recommendations will be responded to by FAO.
That makes simple for us. Focus goal for our project, which is I believe we have we got that already. Thank you.
That's very. During the process last week of the EAFM training, one of the issues was dealing with sustainability. And many of the countries said, we asked, how are you going to sustain the plan? And many countries already said that they had, through government funding, and some were looking to probably through NGOs or through other organizations on their own.
However, I think the remain timing for the big two is maybe about 2 years or less, I'm not sure. This is if every country can a little bit consider on how you're going to implement what is the strategic shore fishery management. However, you may put in some kind of EAFM, but before the end of the project, I think even JEP or FAO would like to see how is the progress of shore fishery management. That one I understand. Thank you.
Okay. To really test the idea of how can we use EAFM principles, can we apply these principles to trawl fisheries management? The project is not changing from trawl fisheries management into EAFM, no. It's using the principles from EAFM to come up with local management plans for trawl fisheries.
And I will be providing an input on socioeconomic and gender considerations in the project. From what we know, we will identify what we need to know and how do we get the information. And the monitoring and evaluation of a trawl fisheries management plan. And to do that, what information do we need? We need information on the social system because through our activities we impact the natural system or the fisheries on human well-being. Therefore, studying one without the other gives us an incomplete picture. And the natural system, how do human activities impact on the ecological system? Or thesis made by students on trawl fisheries, economic and gender aspects in different trawl fisheries. In Indonesia, we have already the type, number of trawl, number of fishing trips, and total catch by trawl type by coastal area. It's a comparative study from 1975 to 2005, as well as some information on fuel consumption of shrimp trawlers. And it was the prawn species harvested in the Gulf of Papua. And we also know the number of persons employed in the harvesting and post-harvest sectors. the estimate of fishing trips and the number of persons, the estimated number of persons for each trawler type, fishing grounds, and the distribution by region, the average annual production of commercial trawlers. Thailand, and Dr. Mala was involved in consolidating. Thailand gave a very comprehensive project preparation grant report. Commercial fisheries, the types of trawlers, technical description, target catch, and catch composition, in addition to the trawls. The per capita fish consumption, species composition of trash fish. Then we go to Vietnam, and I think you are involved in this? No, maybe your colleagues. But from Vietnam, we have, based on the PPG, the number of trawlers by type and region. Fish, percentage of trash fish caught by engine horsepower in the southeast area, and I only quoted the southeast area because that is the location of the pilot site, but there are other areas mentioned in the report. Status and perception of coastal small-scale trawling fishers in the Mekong Delta of Vietnam, which appeared in the International Journal of Fisheries and Aquaculture. So, if we start with a secondary literature that is available, we can find some of the data already without going to the field as yet. Because some people have already gathered those data.
For example, the number of trawlers in each country. Some country 2004, some country 2005. And I think recently, from the year 2008 and 2009, things changed. And for example, the trawl fishery is not only one country involved for trawl fishery. Some country went to other country for doing fishing operations. No? For example, Indonesia, number of trawlers. I think maybe it's a time, good opportunity for you to update things. Because all Thai trawlers that doing fishing in Indonesia now turn to be Indonesian flag. Okay, so this is a big maybe thing that maybe is changing the will or reflect the number. And Thailand also involved with Thailand. Many trawlers from Thailand went to Indonesia. You raised up a very important point. Your information about the small scale trawl fishery and large scale trawl fisheries. This is true, but sometimes where we going for the small trawl fishery management or commercial trawl fishery management. Two different kind of size of trawler in Thailand, and I think you understand which is the most difficult that you're going to manage. No, they're different.
Thank you, Bandit, for raising that. And also, I would like to take Bandit's point about taking this opportunity to update the information. Because as you have seen, the information are really from 2004, 2005, 2008, and there was an economic crisis in 2008. So many things must have changed since that time. So it will be really a good opportunity to take this to update the information. And thank you for pointing that out.
We are presenting the socio-economics. For me, I accept that I don't really understand what is socio-economics. So can you provide us what are the variables or data required under socio and economics as they will be applied to this project? Because I don't know. I just read references on socio-economics, but now we are talking socio-economics and how it will be applied to this project.
Okay. For example, social part, you have the sex. or we say gender. Marketing. Income. And you can do income by percentage. Total income from trawl fisheries, as well as the income that you generate from trawl fisheries as a percentage of the total income. Now, for nutrition, so you go to, if you look at the whole catch, for example, how do we divide this whole catch? We can divide it by the shrimp catch, if that is the target catch, and what is considered as bycatch. So we look at the price received. Where does it go? Where does the total catch go? Does it go, where does the target catch go? It goes for local markets, or it goes for export markets. And how much do they get? So you use this to compute for the estimate of the income for whoever is getting this. The bycatch, or the trash fish, or the low value fish, you know the price, or you get the data for the price. What is the weight? Where does it go? So the dependence that I'm talking about, you can break it when you do already the survey. Then you will be able to see and break it down into the different parts. Percentage of the catch that goes to home consumption, that will give you the idea about the dependence for nutrition. Percentage of the catch that goes, that is part of the income, either as percentage in terms of dependence, or as a way for the household to get food security. Okay? Now, the processing sector, what are the different types of products arising from the low value catch? What percentage, for example, goes to maybe in your pilot site, they use the low value catch for drying, for salting, for fish meal. What percentage goes to each of these? And who are the users of these products? So the degree of dependence you do in the analysis, you will see when you have gathered this information, you will be able to identify who are dependent on the trawl catch for nutrition, for food security, for income. So that is the type of analysis that you will arrive at.
I would like to try to pinpoint the things is how these are very important. And being socio-economist myself, I understand how you are stunned by the indicators and the things that you need to evaluate in the fishery sector. And also, as you are the fishery scientist, maybe need time to digest and also familiarize yourself with this type of indicator. Now, first of all, my observation on the presentation that Susanna made, these are the things that concern with you in order to you to be able to determine the achievement of the projects under the rubrics according to the EAFM pillar that's going to the project. The information given the part 1 and part 2 are the guiding, so to say, indicators that you have worked out last week about how you are going to measure the goals and objectives of the projects already. Those are the very interesting guiding indicators that you may like to consider to pick up in order to use as the indicative indicators for future evaluation or follow-up of the projects that you are going to do in the next 2 years. That is the first concern and first reason of the interesting stuff over there. The second reason of the interesting over there is that the figures, the 49%, the 62%, for example, it means that you may not need to worry too much that you need to go on and invest in data collection again and again, because you already have something available, although the term may be outdated. However, the outdated of the term, the figure that you got, is the figure that you can use for forecasting to see what is happening today. So it allows us to save money to collect the primary data again. So for example, 42% of the fuel consumption of the total cost is 2004. But it may be old comparing today. But you can ask your economists in your office or in your agency to make a fair forecasting, so that that can be factored into the calculation of your cost structures, of what you are going to use for determining the things. So the figure which is available, that also quoted by FAO, is a useful factor for you to start with. You don't need to reinvest again, collection again for those ones. So that's why it is usable, and it's also saved your time to do it. The third one, which is very important and also make your life easy as the project manager and evaluator, is that the value chain stuff, the component that Susan put into different network. So those show already what source information that you need to look into in detail. And if we try to follow those networking or chains, then you will not miss the point of making the data short for evaluation. So now my point is that those are guiding indicators that is applicable to our exercise. We may need to sit down and revisit this, how it matches into different country contexts. How far those figures that quoted by FAO can be the target, can be used as a target for the country projects to target, to measure whether how far they achieve their project objectives.
I think not as a benchmark target to achieve, say that it has to be to reach 20% of the income. I think this is more to see the changes, only the changes, because what we are interested is also the potential impacts, whether it is positive or negative. So it's not really that you should achieve a certain percentage, but this is an indication of how positively or negatively some of the sectors were affected because of the management measures. Yeah.
There's two social issues that you haven't mentioned in your presentation. These two are connected, and are not in the project document, but everyone knows are very important in the trawl fisheries sector. That is the issue of safety, which is very much a human well-being issue again. Trawling is a dangerous occupation. People die every year, presumably. And the second one that generally people try to avoid, because it's quite a big international news story, is connected, and that is the use of migrant labour. The rights of, the basic human rights of trawler crew members. Now we can't, in my opinion, we cannot ignore these two issues. My question to Susanna is, what should we do? We can't just pretend they don't happen. So I'll put that to you. Perhaps it's something we should all be thinking about this week and put into our planning processes, some sort of response.
On the one of the data the data that was presented by Dr. Mala and Pongpa was on the number of migrant. I think the ethnic composition rather. It was on the ethnic composition of the crew. And I think that if it is relevant, we have to make sure that it's there. Because it is, as you said, it's a social issue. And from my understanding, probably it is very relevant to Thailand, and maybe, I don't know as far as Indonesia is concerned. But for the other countries, it's mostly, the labor is probably within the country itself. But for me, if it is a very important social issue, and the stakeholder analysis will actually be the key to that, as well as the participatory rural appraisal, how the people view this, then it should be part of the